go.
So we do 5 things. What we're most famous for is our loan programs. We actually provide guarantees to the bank to get access to capital to small businesses, and that means we're the insurance company to the banks. So sometimes if you go in and the bank's like, I'm not sure I could make this through my normal commercial lending, we actually come in and say, okay, we'll provide, if there's 1 or 2 things that you think are risky, that won't go through your commercial lending, but if you got a guarantee, would you make the loan? And they'd say yes, we provide a guarantee to the bank. And right now we do between 75 and 85% for up to $5 million. So that's one of our programs that I'm talking about. We also, and just to give you an idea, we did about $484 million of lending last year in New York. So that's just my little section of the United States. And the second biggest program we do, which I encourage a lot of businesses, especially if you're already in business and you're looking for more opportunities, is we do government contracting. The federal government spends $425 billion every year in government contracts, and the S.B.A. has programs to help smaller businesses take advantage of part of that pie. And then we do free advice and counseling, like I said before. We've got centers all across the city, small business development centers, women's business centers, which also service men, and also school chapters, which provide free advice and counseling. And actually, they'll see you several times to make sure you've got everything ready before you go into the arena of either government contracting or into our lending. And then we also act as the advocates on Capitol Hill. We actually lobby for small businesses on Capitol Hill with congressmen as well as the senators and everyone else to make sure that the laws that get passed, like the Small Business Jobs Bill that got passed in September, gets done to help. And the last thing we do is disaster assistance. If there should be a natural disaster declared, we've had a couple in New York actually from flooding. We actually come in and provide loans directly to the public to get the community back up and running, but it has to be a presidential or governorial disaster declared for us to be able to come in and do that. So I know this is about financing, so you may not know all the stuff that the S.B.A. can help you finance. We do, as it says up here, small business loans, loans for lands and buildings, venture capital, export assistance, disaster assistance, you name it. We kind of have several programs starting from very small micro-lending programs all the way up to the program we talk about giving up $5 million. So we try to help small businesses to get them started, and if they're started, to retain and also grow, because our biggest mission is to get more jobs. This is our biggest program. We have 2 really major programs. This is our 7A program, and I warn everybody at this point in time, none of our names of our programs make sense because this is the law that it was passed in. So they keep the law to retain it for the program. So it's our 7A program. We do loans up to $5 million. It's really a general use of proceeds fund. So if you're looking to build your inventory, get working capital, refurb your building, this can be used for any general use business purpose, as long as it's not illegal and it's not an investment. So it can't be an investment scheme. You can't say I'm going to invest to then. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to do it as an investment fund. We don't do investment funds. It's really meant for you being an owned and occupied business that someone's going to actually run. So for stores, for dental, for a law office like we're in, those are the types of businesses that we look to help as well. It is between 5 and 10 years. The interest is 2.25 to 2 3/4, depending on prime and the length of the loan. There are fees associated with it. Our program isn't on the left side, on your right side, you'll see the fees. But the fees are we are a self-generating program. So what it is, we don't go to Congress every year to ask for funds for the program. We do it through the lending program through our fees, so that we can continually lend out money to the public. It goes up to $5 million, and like I said, we do a 75% guarantee to the bank. So the way that works is, if the bank looks through your loan application and said, I could not make this through my own credit committee, but with an S.B.A. guarantee I can make the loan, they'll put it through our system, and they can get, and it takes them within, as long as they have a full package, within 36 hours they'll get the approval from the S.B.A. So this is our big program to help, and I always tell people it's a general use of proceeds fund, and usually the loans average between $250,000 up to the $5 million. So we've got loans in all those ranges. The next big program, and again, it's called 504, and all I'd say is we have a real estate program. That's what I'd take from that, is we have a real estate. If you're interested in owning and occupying a piece of real estate for the business that's going to be used 51% for business use, this is our program. The way it works is we share the risk with the bank. The bank will take 50% as their first mortgage. We take 40%, and the business owner puts in the last 10%. And it's a 25-year program. So these loans go from anywhere from 15 to 25 years. And the rate on the loan is the first mortgage rate. So that'll be set by the bank. And really it's to look at helping the business owner own and occupy instead of having the bank say, hey, you got to put 20 or 30% down, you put 10%, and then we take a risk on that, saying we're going to take 40%, so the bank only has 50% on their books. And that's our real estate program. Again, it goes up to $5 million, and that's the $5 million for our 40%, not $5 million for the whole project. So you could have a property that's worth $10 million, and we can put our 40% can go up to $5 million. So I've been talking about like a huge amount of money, and then we have other programs to look at for smaller amounts of money, because you might not need $1 million or $2 million or $5 million, or your business might be starting out. We have a program called S.B.A. Express. It's a different program. It goes up to loan limits up to $1 million, and it's a 50-50 share with the bank. We guarantee it 50% with the bank. And the way the bank usually uses it is traditionally for lines of credit. If they need to give lines of credit, they will use this program most likely because it allows them to give you a temporary line of credit, but they get a 50% guarantee from the government if they wouldn't normally give you a line of credit. I'm going too fast. If you have any questions, you can stop me. And then this last program that I talk a lot about is our microloan program. This is for sub-$50,000 loans. This program actually is to help a lot of startup businesses. We do a lot of startup loans through this, and we've got 10 microlenders in the city of New York who actually look at alternative criteria when lending. So it's not, hey, what's your credit score? You know, what's your past 3 years of financials for the business? What's your next 3 years? And sometimes when you're starting out, it's very difficult. You might not have all that information. And most likely, if you also have credit history problems, the bank is going to decline the loan even with a guarantee. And so we look to use this program to help you repair your credit so that in 2 to 3 years' time you may be eligible for one of our other loan programs. And all our microlenders are in there, and part of our microlending program is you have to have technical assistance. So they can't just say, hey, fill out this paperwork and you're done. We actually we find out that the most successful smaller loans are because someone gets technical assistance. And technical assistance means you sit down with a business counselor to just help look at your business plan, look at where your proceeds are going and how you're planning to pay them off. Yep.
For this loan, how many years do you have to be in business to get a loan?
You could be a startup.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no requirement for many years of business. Yeah. All our loan programs, you can also be a startup as well. But you would, if you're a brand new startup and you're trying to get like $5 million through one of our loan programs, you'll have to show that you have, good credit history, you paid before, and they might. Sorry. That's going to show. They'll look through your past history to make sure that you can pay off a loan. And they'll also look at what you've done before. Because if you invest in a business or you're starting a business where you have you have a background in it, it's much easier. But if you're starting something brand new, you're going to have to show the bank how you're going to make that business successful. Because really, when we look at all these loan programs, is about your payability. How are you going to repay the money? Because we want it to go back. We prefer not to have people go into default. But if that happens, that's the guarantee to take the risk.
So if you have a credit history, like a bad credit history, you will not be qualified for this?
The microlenders have different alternative. They don't look just at credit history, so they will look at why do you have that credit history. They'll probably pull also see do you pay your Con Ed bills on time. They all have different different ways of looking to see your repayability. But it's a smaller loan program, so you actually work with the microlender to go through that process. Versus our more traditional programs, the bigger banks definitely will pull credit history.
Is there a minimum that do we have a minimum?
It's anywhere. I think I've seen the smallest loan they've ever done has been 500. So yeah, but I don't know if they give it. To be honest, I don't know if they do a $10 or $100 loan because the paperwork alone is more than $100. So yeah, but the smallest has been 500. Technically, it's from $1 above, but most people. We just announced 2 new programs, which are actually going to start on March 15th, and that's actually because if you heard, I said my minimum on my bigger programs is between $250,000 to $5 million, and then we have $50,000 under. There's obviously a gap there, so we have these 2 new programs that look at doing $250,000 sub loans through some of the biggest banks as well as community banks and CDFIs, which are financial institutions that are not normally traditional banks. And we're going to provide them with a 75% guarantee so that they are incentivized to start making smaller loans. And that'll be also from probably 500 to 250,000, but it's look at that smaller market. And all those lenders all the lenders that participate in our programs are all on our website. And they're, the way it works is you go to the bank for the loan, not to the S.B.A. But I always tell people, before you go to the bank, go to one of our resource partners, because they'll help you put the package together, make sure your financials are what you need, make sure you're going in with the full package, because it's always a first step and a first impression. If you walk in quite prepared, they look at it and they go, okay, let's see what we can do. If you walk in, well, I don't have this, and do you need this? It starts, it'll take you longer to go through the process. Yes.
Website, one slide.
Sure.